Oh, that's a lot more words than I was thinking.
In fact, today we have our subject on our phones.
Apparently, it's the future.
Oh, yeah. Paper.
Oh,
You gotta read it?
This is long. You want me to read it?
Yeah, go.
I guess.
Oh,
sure.
okay, I'll read it. All right. This has to do from our last video where we were discussing what it's like to work at Abyss. What's interesting is you guys sound more like engineers and production labor workers. So seeing a company where the engineers participate in the production of their creation is unique. In many places, engineers will create or design without the focus on what it means to recreate, reproduce, service the final product. So with that in mind, knowing that you'll have to build the product or at least components of the products influence how you design the product up front.
Yes.
It's actually a question, does it influence the design of the product up front? Knowing that you're going to.
I already answered it on video.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Of course it does.
Yeah, we kind of sort of skimmed this a few times, but it was kind of disjointed. So I guess we could cover the whole thing. So yeah, of course, the way we design things is probably different than you would if you weren't making it yourself, if you didn't see the people making it, if you weren't directly connected with the product being manufactured and the entire chain of manufacturing, including, of course, service, etc. And since we manufacture the parts ourselves, we have a very different perspective than a lot of people would otherwise. Since we're making the part, we know the steps that go into it, all the processes, what we're doing to get the final product. When you design it, you try to minimize those steps. You try to minimize the likelihood the customer has issues. You try to make the product look as good as it can.
There's a lot of thought process
of course,
that goes into design of the headphone, not only from the manufacturing standpoint, but from the assembly and longevity and reliability. And you learn all that along the way by making mistakes, basically. Everyone does.
The other thing is from actually what you think that it's going to take to make something and then actually doing it. And then you have to change the processes,
Right.
So even knowing how we're making it doesn't always help until you actually make it.
Yeah, it helps to
then
definitely.
you see the problems.
It helps to go through the whole.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually create a procedure. When it's all said and done, when a product's done, there's a procedure that's from the first bit hitting the block of aluminum, right, straight through to the last screw or the polishing effect going into the product before it goes in a box. You basically we're creating a procedure with it. You have to.
Yep.
Manufacturing, as it turns out, is incredibly difficult, incredibly challenging. If you want to do it right, consistent, reliably, and actually ship a product that people want to buy at the end, it's really difficult to get it all just right, to get the design so that you could actually make it consistently at high volume, at scale. I mean, what we're operating in isn't what people will call high volume, but this isn't something where you can spend 40 hours making one little part, right? Like where you can't make it by hand, physically carving it out of metal. Like it's not possible.
Right.
Everyone will be different. It'll be incredibly challenging.
Yeah, that's called art.
The processes to make the part are almost always so much harder than the actual part or the design itself. And so I would say that's intrinsic in the design. The design encompasses the entire system, the actual manufacturing chain, in my mind, because that's incredibly important. You got to take that into account when you're making the thing. You got to know, how is this going to be made? Can this be made? Can we make it reliably, affordably? Is the customer going to have problems? You got to think about how every customer in the world is going to use it. And believe it or not, customers are using differently. In different countries, people have different expectations. They use the product differently, and they expect it to do different things. They have previous notions coming in to the product.
Some people are keying on finishes.
Yeah.
Some people key in on weight and the feel.
Colors.
Yeah, just the physical color of it. Yeah, regardless of the build quality. Some people definitely look at the build quality and the machine quality. Hell, we've had a couple of people that put it under a microscope. Don't know why. It's not, we didn't design this to be like, what would you call it? Like a watch body on like a gold-plated watch or something.
To some people, it is, though.
But to some people, right? I get it. At the price point, we do try to do the best finishes we can on the product, But it is a large product. It's rather large. There's a lot of components to it. It's not a watch, No. But each one is machined, and we do. It goes through a ton of QC processes before it becomes a finished product. But
we learned a lot making 1266 and what worked well in production and what didn't, and then incorporated that into
a shit ton, a lot.
Diana. So, and then we're still learning from Diana production.
Yeah, right.
So it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like we're constantly refining our art, you, Eric, you with the machine processes, and Keith running the machines and inspecting the parts as they come off. And, it's always it's a continuous improvement. We never stop looking for ways to improve, even on an existing design, although typically, though, once they're done, they're pretty done. But there's minor things, right, that we kind of, a little bit as a product goes on through years, that minor things, that the customer would never know or see because it's what would you call it?
They're usually internal.
It's buried in the details or something like that. You just don't, you don't see it, just minor things that are adjusted over time. And it's just, I think it's the nature of manufacturing. I don't know. I have no idea. Like, if you look at how Apple makes something, I wonder how many pieces they go through before they say this is it, and it's done consistently.
Well,
it's got to be a lot.
I think that's interesting because if you look at big manufacturers that have tens of thousands of engineers that are specifically designing for manufacture, and they have lifetimes of combined experience doing so, they still have problems. They still have issues with all kinds of things. They do minor revisions over and over again. You look at PCBs, and you commonly see revisions, and they increment over time.
Yeah, Rev D, Rev F.
Yeah. You buy the same thing. It looks the same. It functions the same.
Right.
But they change it over time because they had issues. They don't tell you what they were.
Right.
But they had something that was a problem somewhere.
Well, I'm sure it's all kinds of things. It's not.
Yeah,
It's never the same thing, right?
So your best judgment,
just constant,
and you still have issues.
Yeah, right.
So, of course, we're not immune to issues. We strive to do our best to ship a product that's as close to perfection as we could achieve, but inevitably, you're going to have challenges you don't see. It could be something that's irrelevant. It could be something that to the customer doesn't matter. It could be just it's hard to put together.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's super common.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be some game-changing issue that causes the thing to not work that the customer would even know of.
Yeah.
But these things happen all the time, thousands of iterations. Like, you look at Diana. When we first started shipping Diana to where we are now with Diana V2 and Diana Phi, there's a lot of changes. This is a totally different product.
Yeah.
Almost every component and surface on the frame
It's so
assembly
refined
changed.
at this point.
It looks the same.
To the naked eye.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Our finishes, our coatings, our processes and platings have all changed. The screw finishing has changed. The design intrinsically has changed.
Yeah.
The diaphragms are different than they were initially.
Yeah.
I mean, like, everything on the thing changed from Diana 1, but it looks the same. And to
Right.
most people, they say, oh, it sounds a little different here, there,
Yeah,
or whatever.
sure.
They just think it's just a minor incremental improvement, but everything changes.
And all that adds up. I mean, it's not just even a driver improvement, but it's functionally everything around the driver has improved too over time, to where it is today. So yeah, I mean, that's, and that's the beauty of having the latest generation too of our headphones, is because we've all that experience that we've built up over the years is in the latest ones. It's there.
Well, yeah. Designing a one-off thing, concept, that's the easy part, actually.
Yeah.
There's a reason why concept cars never end up looking like the production version, because you actually have to make it then.
Yeah,
Making it's the whole battle.
that's true. You get these
Yeah, it's
artistic style people who say, oh,
Yeah.
we can curve this and do that, and
Right.
someone's actually got to physically make it a real product. I remember one time we were thinking about getting, early on with the 1266, you had people commenting, you guys need to hire an industrial designer, right? Because, look at this thing, the 1266, the shape of it, right? But the reality of it is we had to make this thing. And, that in itself posed thousands of challenges for us. Because it's not something it's not something we've done before. So, really, we were when you think about it, we were balancing out the design of it versus the functionality of it versus what can we actually make,
Right.
and early on it was a challenge. I mean, we needed people to help us. We didn't have our own CNCs at that time. We had someone else machining the parts for us, and we had to convey that to them.
Yeah.
You think
they
about
helped.
that. Yeah, right. Yeah, even that
It's an
machinist
input.
helped. Yeah.
because they
right.
had to make it.
Yeah, right.
Same thing.
Yeah, he had to tell us what he could make.
Right.
We had a concept.
Right.
But he's like, well, I can't do that.
I think that's
You
the
know?
biggest thing, especially to new engineers or to designers that are doing aesthetic design only. They think, well, I can make a design, it's easy. And it's absolutely, it's not that hard to make a design that looks really cool. But if it can't be manufactured, if it doesn't work, if it's not going to be durable, if you need some exotic process to make it, what's the point? It's going to be $1 million.
Right.
It needs to be something you could actually make. And personally, I think making the thing or designing the system to make the thing is by a mile more difficult than the aesthetic design or the performance or the one-off. Making one thing, a lot of times isn't that hard. If you just want to do one, you put your life and your soul into it, you could probably get it done. But if you want to be able to make a process to make this thing reliably and affordably enough that you can actually sell it, it's really hard.
And I remember early on, like I know my mantra in this when we started this whole project was to follow suit with the old saying that to make it as simple as possible, but no simpler.
Right.
You know, and we follow suit with that. I think, well, okay, we complicate it a lot with flair and with
Diana kind of.
Yeah.
It started out simple, and then it got way more complicated.
Yeah, with the whole pattern on there.
With
That's just
all the magnets.
crazy amount of machine time. Yeah, and the magnetic
It is kind of silly
slider
because you look at this.
It looks
and
simple.
The average person will look at what's the big deal, right?
Yeah, right.
But just drilling these holes alone, having a machine that's specifically designed to drill holes,
Right.
running flat out
At a variable
basically as
depth.
fast as you could go,
Yeah.
and everything's heavily optimized. It was like 14 minutes on our first machine for that.
Yeah.
That was a high-end fast machine. Everyone said that this was a great machine. 14 minutes for one frame. That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
It's a half a headphone.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we covered that
simple
before, but
process like that.
we're crazy about things like that. But that's what sets us apart too. You know, it's not a molded plastic part. It's got a lot of love in it. It's got a lot of time in it, and all of that is functional. It's not just the look. We've learned how to create somewhat of a beauty out of it in Diana, and because she's a female, I guess we were after something that looked different and good, you know,
Well,
and pure.
It sure changed a lot. I saw the original one frame. It's not like
recently?
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's like wow.
Yeah,
It looks like someone made this by hand on like a drill press or something.
yeah. The first prototypes were just straight line
It was
holes
all
just
flat.
going across or whatever.
Yeah, there was no
There was a
Yeah.
lot of iterations.
This wasn't
yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Right. Well, everything was designed for functionality first because it
Yeah.
needed to work. We
Yeah.
were trying
Right.
things out, aesthetics, whatever.
yeah. Right. We'll figure
We'll
that
figure
out
it
later.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Everything
it doesn't
was
matter. It needs to
chunky.
work.
yeah.
Now it's like delicate, like the frame itself. It's pretty. Everything's thin and as thick as it
Yeah,
needs
we
to be.
reduced the
But
weight.
back then, everything was thick.
Yeah,
Right.
But that's refinement. I mean, that took
Yeah.
a long time. That was probably a year and a half before anyone even, you know, before he actually sold the one.
Oh yeah.
You know, just refining the side and the slider assembly and two parts that go together took us over a year. Now we don't have a team of engineers, you know. It's you, right, and the machines, and you got to make it work. And you're doing other things at the same time, right? It's
Yeah.
not. This isn't your sole
Well, that's the
function.
thing. Still making 1266
Same with all
at
of
the
us.
same time.
None of us do just one thing. You know, hell, can you imagine what we could do if we could do just one thing? I don't know. Maybe we get bored with it.
I
But
don't know.
imagine if each one of us concentrate on the thing, whatever that is.
Yeah. There's a lot of things I'd like to do. It's
Jesus.
just the time required for perfection is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
As we still continue to grow, I think we'll get a few more people on board here to take over some of the assembly processes more. So and then free us up to do other things, or you guys up to do other things. It'll probably happen over a bit. I could see it coming pretty soon, actually. You know, but then the other toss of the coin is how big do you really want to be, right? How busy do you want to be? I don't know. You know?
It's a tricky balance.
Yeah, and still enjoy your job and life. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Could always scale back, right? or we could become the biggest headphone company on the planet in 20 years. It could go either way, you know. Or we can get into making toilet seats too. Really
Yeah,
nice
I was
ones.
thinking about that.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah?
really nice ones.
Really nice
yeah.
ones, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Keyboard first.
Yeah, we talked about the
Keyboard
keyboard.
first.
Yeah, we
Do
could
the
do that.
keyboard.
You know, actually, I had a vision a long time ago.
Oh,
I wanted to make, because a long time ago, I remember when you guys were young, and we used to get these wood toilet seats with brass fittings, and they would just suck. Everything would turn green, and I'm like, and it seemed like no matter what you buy at whatever, they all sucked. The hardware sucked. It's like they didn't make these things to last. It was made to throw out after a year or two and get another one. And that goes for just so many things in the house that you look at. What the hell's that really lasts anymore, you know? And
There's a
it's-
solution.
And I always thought it'd be cool to have like products that are made, all products, be a manufacturer of products that are made to last a lifetime.
It exists.
People have tried that.
It's called
Yeah.
commercial.
They go out of business.
They go out
right?
of business.
Yeah,
Well, no, you
exactly.
run-
Too expensive. Nobody wants
Right.
it.
Well, that's why I never really went there. But,
Commercial stuff.
Commercial stuff
Yeah.
is typically robust. It's
Well,
got to
that's
work.
true.
And it's pretty affordable. Too.
That's
But
true.
aesthetically,
Yeah.
that's the only thing.
they don't design it to
Right.
look cool usually.
Right.
They design
yeah.
it to work.
Yeah, there's no fancy hardware
Right.
that turns green because
Well,
you can't
the
have
commercial
Yeah.
toilet seats run stainless hardware,
it. Yeah, right. They have to.
and
right.
so then that
Yeah,
solves
true.
that.
Yeah.
You got 50 toilets in
Yeah.
a facility. You don't want to have to worry about
Right.
these things,
Yeah,
right?
right.
They make it work.
Yeah. I don't think that stuff's that cheap though. It's not.
It's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
It's
I
a
don't
good
know.
scale.
like
so it's
those
affordable.
standard black toilet seats. They're
Yeah.
not that. They're like $30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much all these things usually don't have the same styling people
Right.
come to expect in
Right.
standard home goods.
Yeah.
And they don't really need that kind of durability usually. They
Right.
get away with the cheap stuff and it's a little cheaper. So
That was just
That's
an
what
example,
sells.
but it was
Right.
just one of the things that always irked me in my younger years, where it's like, I can't. It doesn't matter. You just can't seem to get anything good for a home. I think I don't know. A lot of that stuff's probably gotten weeded out now.
Yeah.
I think
the cheap consumer stuff is pretty decent now.
I mean, I don't know
It's not
about
great,
Amazon and
but-
what there's a lot of crap on there still, I'm sure.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
disposable. You look at some of the stuff, it's just built to a price point, and it's,
Let's get back to the question though.
Right.
Yeah.
So, do we, as designers that actually do some manufacturing ourselves, do we design it differently? Do we engineer products differently because we know we have to make it? We're the ones assembling or whatever, manufacturing it.
I think everyone
And
does.
Yes,
Definitely.
absolutely, without a doubt.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It has a strong influence.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
perfect
that facilitates
example.
a lot, I think.
But we're not making it easy to assemble necessarily.
No, that's the thing.
What we're doing is making it so that we can assemble it as easy as possible. It's not like it's designed to be easy to assemble, right? I don't know if you
It's a
see
very different
You
thing.
see the
Yeah.
contrast?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. It's nothing's easy to assemble. This stuff isn't easy to assemble. It takes a long time.
Well, some things are easier than
you
others.
know?
But like me and Keith were assembling the first Diana headbands, and I remember it was taking us like a half an hour each,
Yeah.
and it was like we're
Right.
never going to be able to build any of these.
Right.
But now it's like 5 minutes. you
Yeah.
know? But the parts are all the same. It was just how to assemble them.
Right.
And it was like it was like a half a day we spent trying to figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Ruining a bunch of
Yeah,
leather.
it was not
Saying,
good.
God damn it!
And
There's got to be a better
yeah,
way.
And
Well, and sometimes we have to make fixtures. Sometimes you got to make tooling or
yeah,
tools
we had to make
to
some
assemble
things.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to create a process. And yeah, I mean, you could go through
Oh yeah.
hundreds of pieces
It
before
was-
you really
It was bad.
get it down.
Yeah.
Without needing like a lot of muscle or whatever.
You still do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
I know that steel band internally is really
Yeah.
a tight fit inside the leather.
Yeah, it's probably about 50, 60 pounds of pull you need to get it through.
In fact, when you think about it, that headband on Diana is pretty precise for being a cut leather product.
It's far too precise. It's
Yeah.
absurd.
It's
but
crazy
yeah.
just to fit.
It's achievable.
To fit the leather component of it, and the steel in the leather, then the leather and the steel together into the slider.
Actually,
It's
that's a
gotta
fair
be
point, though,
so
because
precise.
you look at everything in Diana, and it's designed around the precision, the tolerances we know we could achieve reliably. And so if you look at it from an outward perspective, it's ridiculous to design it like that because everything's a precise fit and it has to be a precise fit. Otherwise, it doesn't work, right?
Right.
But for us, it isn't really a challenge because we're making it. It doesn't really cost any more to achieve those tolerances. It's not that
It takes
challenging
more
for us to
time in
do.
the end,
It's a little bit more.
and we do have more scrap because if the leather is a little off,
Well,
it's
yeah.
tossed.
Inevitably, you do
know?
run into those problems.
Yeah. So precision does come with a cost.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah, there's
It's built
always a
into
cost,
the
but
price.
it's nothing compared to what you would expect if you were to farm it out. If you were to actually pay
Yeah.
someone to do this.
Oh, they couldn't
Yeah.
they couldn't hold this kind of precision.
No.
Right.
You'd have loose this. You'd
Well, that's
have
the thing.
stuff hanging out the edges.
Yeah,
you'd have-
Diana, if it didn't have the
There's no way.
tolerances it had, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, no. Which is why we
Yeah.
had to make it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, why we got these 2 high-speed CNCs to do it. We went from one big machine to 2 smaller, faster.
Right.
The brothers. So yeah. Anyway, well, we'll carry on. That's what we do here. And now we got it. We got this down to a science. The next project just gets a little bit easier.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah. So anyway, let's wrap it up. So everyone, thank you for watching, and please give us a thumbs up if you like what we're talking about, and subscribe to us so you know what's coming up. Take care of yourselves.